Wolves 1, Manchester City 1, a very disappointing result. We spoke about it in the preview in the previous video that it could be a very tricky game, and that's exactly how it turned out. In this video we're going to be touching upon a few things that have arisen from the game, where exactly it did go wrong, and just some general thoughts about our performance. But without any further ado, let's get stuck into it. So this is the first match review / match reaction that's going to be going up on the channel, so I hope you guys do really enjoy this. Of course, anyone that's not subscribed already, be sure to click that subscribe button down below, and any and all support is massively appreciated, whether you're liking the video, love to hear your comments in the comment section down below, or sharing this around. All of that is massively appreciated, so thank you so much. But it's going to be a bit of a difficult one, because in these videos I like to try and come across as upbeat, I like to try and be positive, but it's a disappointing result, so that naturally means that I'm going to be a bit down, a bit more down than usual in today's video. But yeah, Wolves 1, Man City 1. It's a tricky one to analyse, because I mentioned it in the preview. I was actually working while the game was being played, so I didn't get to see any, well, I didn't watch the full game, I wasn't at the game. So everything I've seen has come as a result of match of the day, just looking at people's general thoughts after the match and just reading up on the match reports myself. So maybe not as raw of a match reaction as you'd normally see, but nevertheless, I think I've got a good impression of how the game went. So you'll have to let me know again in the comment section if you agree or disagree with anything I say, of course. I think the best and most logical place to start off was going to be with the lineup for yesterday's game. It wasn't the same as in the previous game, where we'd absolutely destroyed Huddersfield, but that was kind of to be expected, because there's a few players coming back still, the likes of Kyle Walker and Raheem Sterling, two players that came in. But I've mentioned it a few times, I do really think John Stones needs to be starting game in, game out. He needs to be a regular, and I was really disappointed to see that he was dropped. I would have liked to have seen him and Laporte started again. I know Kompany's the captain, made his 250th appearance for us actually yesterday, 250th Premier League appearance, and I absolutely love the guy. But I just think, looking ahead, looking into the future, Stones and Laporte are the partnership that we should be going with, and I think the way that we play is, you know, playing it out from the back, building up attacks from the back. Stones is just so good at that, so comfortable on the ball. I'm not saying Kompany's not comfortable, but he's not as comfortable as Stones. I think it's genuinely a massive miss whenever he doesn't play, so that was a disappointment straight off the bat. It was nice to see Sterling come back into the team. He actually had a half-decent game, had a great effort, well saved by Rui Patricio, tipped onto the bar, and I think he was one of the better players on the pitch. It was a bit disappointing from all accounts that he got subbed off when he did, because Sane and Morris didn't have a great impact when they came up, but we'll touch on a bit more on that in the future of the video. But yeah, the lineup, a bit more of what you'd potentially expect with Walker coming back in. I've already mentioned I'd rather have Stones in there than Kompany with Laporte. I was pleased to see Mendy started in there again, of course, as he's always going to do. Didn't hit the heights that he did against Huddersfield, but was, you know, average, I'd say, from what I've heard. Sterling was decent, as I've touched upon, was probably one of our stronger performances. Fernandinho, again, there's a common theme throughout the team, and that is that none of them hit up to their usual levels of performance. Fernandinho wasn't quite at it, David Silva wasn't quite at it, Bernardo not quite at it. Aguero, it wasn't a bad performance from himself. Again, was a bit unlucky, hit the post, well, hit the woodwork, the frame of the goal a couple of times. So, you know, it wasn't an awful performance, but it just wasn't up to the high standards that we've set over the past 12 months at the club, and it just goes and puts more appreciation on what we did last season more than anything. But yeah, the lineup I thought was certainly strong enough during the game when it was announced, but the biggest disappointment for me was that Stones didn't start. And yeah, I think that was the biggest disappointment, to be honest. And maybe the fact that Jesus and Aguero weren't both playing. I did predict in the preview that we might see a one-up-top system again, which is exactly what happened. But yeah, Stones not being included was the biggest disappointment for me. Talking about the actual game itself, the real question is coming out of that game, where you've drawn 1-1, you've hit the woodwork 3 or 4 times throughout the game. Their goal was handball, obviously. Were we unlucky, or were we the architects of our own downfall by not being clinical enough in front of goal? And I suppose the first thing to talk about is the Wolves goal. Willy Bolly, wonderful crossing from Moutinho, who had a great game in the heart of midfield. I actually highlighted Ruben Neves before the game in the preview, but it was Moutinho that was the shining light. Both of them did well, to be fair, anchoring the Wolves midfield, but Moutinho put in a great ball for the Bolly goal. He goes for it with his head. There's no question in my mind that he intentionally handballed it. That is not the case whatsoever. He's gone with his head. It's hit his hand and got in. you can't put any blame on the officials. I don't think it's one of those decisions that perhaps if VAR was in, would definitely be ruled out, but you can't blame the officials for not seeing it because he's gone to attack it with his head and it's just clipped his hand and gone in essentially. So it should have been disallowed. Can't blame the officials though, and it's just one of those things sometimes in football. You get these slices of bad luck and it's just how you bounce back from them. And at that stage, of course, we were 1-0 down. Laporte brings us back into the game. Absolute bullet header. Another cross this time from a set piece from Gundogan, who actually had a very poor game in midfield. I didn't mention him in the lineup, but he actually had a very poor game from all accounts as well. And that was his one shining moment, the assist for Laporte. But yeah, bullet header, nothing Patricio could do, who actually had a very solid game, but nothing he could do about that one. And from that moment, we equalised. I'd saw that we'd seen that we'd equalised. 20 minutes to go, I thought, you know what, City of last season, the way we've been, we're going to go on and win this game. But it just wasn't to be. We had loads of chances before and after that point. Aguero hitting the bar from the free kick in the last minute of the game. Last kick of the game was really unlucky. Sterling's ever tipped onto the bar by Patricio. Great save, really unlucky. Jesus had a great chance after we got back into the game at 1-1. Wonderful ball in from Mendy, one of his better moments in the game. Headed down, unfortunately, right at the goalkeeper though, and should be doing better. Those are the kinds of moments that we need to make count if we're going to win these kind of games, where it's scrappy, tight. You know, we're not quite at our best. They're the kind of things you need to go in. Aguero hit the post early doors as well after a good save. Was it a save? I'm trying to remember back now. I think it was a save for the keeper. Falls to Aguero, then he hits the post, unfortunately. But, you know, some people are going to say it's unlucky. Some people are going to say we weren't clinical enough. I just think it's a combination of the both. A bit of bad luck, not taking our chances. We could have comfortably won that game. But that's not to say Wolves didn't have chances either. Wolves actually put in a very decent display. A lot of people will say it was frustrating to watch for ourselves, but they did have a threat, and that's exactly how you're going to expect to see teams set up against City, as they did last season, and as they will again, I'm sure, this season. So an equally good but frustrating display from our point of view from Wolves. And although we could have won the game, I think a lot of people would argue that a draw will be a fair result, despite the fact we hit the post a few times. You know, Wolves were dogged, they dug in well, and were good value. So as far as the game goes, wasn't an awful performance by any stretch of the imagination, but we didn't hit the heights that we normally would have done. And with a bit of luck, we could have won it, but not to be. The main thing now is that we bounce back in the next game against Newcastle next week at home, get 3 points. In fact, we've got Newcastle at home, and then I think we've got another. I think it's Fulham at home after that. That needs to be 6 points out of 6 and making sure we get back on track. We actually had exactly the same last season. The first 3 games, won 2 and drew 1. Another very frustrating game, that one against Everton, where we went down to 10 men after Walker got sent off. You know, similar patterns to the start of last season. We need to make sure we bounce back, and we need to make sure that we're looking strong against Newcastle. So looking past my general thoughts on the game, I've already mentioned a little bit how I wanted John Stones to be in the lineup. I think we really missed him playing out the back. Company gave it away sloppily a few times. Laporte actually had a decent game. It was probably the best out of the back 4. But yeah, I really do think we need to go with Laporte and Stones, looking towards the future, as I've already touched upon. I just think they're so pivotal to the way that we come out from the back, the way we play it out, so comfortable on the ball, both of them. And I think that was something that we did miss, so hopefully we can see that in the game against Newcastle next week. But another thing I want to touch upon is the fact that Sane and Mahrez came on and had such little impact. It was really disappointing, especially Leroy Sane. Where is the Leroy Sane that was terrorising defences last season? He's not started it this year, and it's a bit of a concern. I did see somewhere that somebody had mentioned it. It was exactly the same last season, how he started off slowly, wasn't starting all the games to begin with, and slowly got into his stride. So I'm hoping that's something that we're going to be seeing again this season, where he's slowly introduced into the team. But that shouldn't be the case. He was so good last season. It really is disheartening to see him struggling as it seems. I mean, obviously left out of the World Cup squad for Germany. I'm just hoping that hasn't had a big effect on him. I mean, to be fair, he had some bad touches when he came on, but then he also did a really, really nice little run where he took on 3 or 4 players. That was the Sane that we used to see. But yeah, as a substitute, when you see Sane come on, you think, fantastic, he's got pace, he's going to get at them. But he didn't really have an impact, and Mahrez is exactly the same. A couple of poor touches, didn't have the impact that Pep would have wanted from them, obviously, coming from off the bench. And Jesus the same. I mean, all of his substitutions yesterday flopped. Jesus missed that great chance, as we touched upon. Sane had that one great moment, and Mahrez, and other than that, Sane was poor, and Mahrez exactly the same, just didn't really influence the game. So he's going to be disappointed with those substitutions. And after watching the All or Nothing Amazon documentary, you can just imagine Pep going in on the players in the dressing room and telling them, you know, we can't be complacent, we need to take the chances. And although we did have that bit of bad luck, we need to pull together as a team and move forward to the Newcastle game, as I touched upon already. One interesting thing that's going to come out of this, I think, is the way that we line up against Newcastle. Because of the couple of under par performances by some of the players like Gundogan, are we perhaps going to see Phil Foden given a chance? Is that too much of a step up for him? Maybe Bernardo could play that central role and Sterling and Sane or Mahrez could play on the wings. You know, a different combination. But Gundogan, like I said, didn't have the greatest game, and he's one that could be in line to lose his spot in that Newcastle match. And the one great thing about the squad that we've got is if someone isn't cutting the mustard, we have always got a quality player to step in their place and hopefully do a job where they're not perhaps living up to it. And that's to me why Sane was really disappointing. You know, he got brought on, we hadn't played great. It was really a chance for him to come on, grab the ball by the horns and show why he should be starting the next game. And he didn't really do that, unfortunately. So let's hope he can bounce back. But there's not too much more I want to touch upon. Like I said, it was quite a difficult video to make because A, I'm disappointed, and B, I haven't watched the full game, so I can't go out there and give a full opinion on the match. It's one based on match of the day. It's one based on reports that I've seen. So although I think it's a fair reflection of the game, it's difficult for me to go out there and completely rip into an individual player when I've not seen the full 90 minutes, if you guys know what I mean. But let me know your thoughts on the game in the comment section down below. Of course, a very disappointing result. I think the main thing is that we bounced back against Newcastle. Perhaps these Stones come back in. I'd like to see Foden given a chance in the middle of the park because of Gundogan's poor performance. But again, let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. Maybe that's a bit too soon. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on Ilkay Gundogan, who obviously was pretty solid for us last season and has had a solid start to the season other than that game. So maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Again, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on the game. And again, if there's anything more that you'd like to see from these match reactions and match reviews, let me know that as well. Because of course, again, with it being a new channel, any influence that you guys can have on this, I'm very open for and open to, and suggestions and stuff, leave them again in the comment section down below. But that is going to end up this video, guys. Again, disappointing result. Let's move on. Let's get the 3 points against Newcastle and try and leave that all behind. But I also hope you guys have a great bank holiday weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and hopefully you guys are off on Monday as well. So we'll be enjoying that extra day off from work or school or whatever you are doing. But like I say, that's going to end the video, guys. Again, appreciate your support as always. Leave a big thumbs up on this, and I'll speak to you all next time. As I'm going out of focus, Nidge out.